Hi, and welcome to Vlogtober day 8 already. Like, I misset the day just a moment ago because I am so surprised by the fact that I even made it to this day. But anyway, today we're going to be talking about dreams, and by that I don't mean necessarily the things you have in your sleep, but more of the things I want to do in the future and want to get done in my life and that sort of stuff, dreams, which may coincide with what you dream, but you know, you get my point. I guess I wanted to talk about it because the other day I booked my tickets to go to Thailand and Australia in February, and I'm really excited about it. That is a very big thing to do, and I'm also finishing my application for an international school today. So it's really all really big and really scary, and I mean, for school, of course, nothing may come of it, but at least I tried. So we'll hear about that at some other time, maybe. It made me realize how big those things are and how special it is in some way that I, am at the point where I am. Technically, I have saved or will, in the future, sort of save up all my own money for that trip to Thailand and Australia. And I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, I wanted to talk about dreams and how dreams become realities, I guess. Because I am the kind of person who, when she wants something, just writes like 1,000 plans as to how I can do it. When I want something, I start planning it no matter how unrealistic it is, really. I just start dreaming about it and start looking up stuff online and start thinking about, oh, and then I could do this to achieve that and to ultimately get there. And usually a dream is a plan for me, and that doesn't necessarily mean that all my dreams are plans I actually go through with, but it does mean that I take them seriously and I don't just sit around and wait for them to happen. And with this I wanted to quote a song by One Republic. It's called Preacher, and one of the lines in that song is, "God only helps those who learn to help themselves." And I'm not religious, but I think like the truth in that is that regardless of what you believe in, whether it's a god or it's yourself or it's the law of attraction, I think the main point of it is that ultimately the way to get what you want is to work for it. And maybe you'll get a little help from above or something like that. But ultimately, it comes down to you and how much effort you put in. There's different belief systems, but they all boil down to if you work hard, you have like more chance of succeeding. And there's always also people who just say they want something and have people take care of it for them, pretty much. And there will also be people who didn't know they wanted something until they suddenly had it when someone else has worked for it for years and just couldn't get there. Like, there's always the lucky few and the unlucky few, but in general, I think we can say that working hard pays off. And I think this is really important because if you're just gonna sit around and wait for you to have a yacht, obviously you're not gonna blink your eyes and then suddenly have a yacht. And that is a very, very elitist example, but you get my point. I just wanted to say something very extreme just to make you like see what I meant. Obviously, you're gonna have to find a job and work really hard for a really long time before you can actually get that yacht. And then you might be lucky in terms of finding that job and having a good salary, or maybe getting a raise very soon, or being promoted very soon, or something like that. You might get lucky in terms of how long it will take you, but ultimately it's gonna boil down to you working your ass off. So what I usually do, I really like money numbers, like just making a financial plan for myself. I really like doing that. It's just something I get pleasure out of. Just get pleasure out of seeing how I can do stuff to make it work and to give myself like optimal reach and stuff. And it's my way of being organized, I guess, because my room is a mess, but I do feel like an organized person, and that's probably because I have like literally a notebook full of, that's not this one, but a similar notebook that is like probably 2/3 filled with the same exact numbers about how I will get money for something. And in this case, it was no different. I decided quite a while ago that I wanted to make this trip because obviously when you have a gap year, there's always, well, not always, but for most people there will be some traveling involved. So I've known that I wanted a gap year for a really long time, and so I also knew for a long time that I wanted to travel and that I wanted to travel very far. This is going to be my first like real big trip that I'm going to do 100% on my own. And I'm going to be away for the longest that I've ever been, I think. Ultimately, I came to the plan that I have now, and that is to travel for about 50 days, so 7 weeks, 3 of them in Thailand and 4 of them in Australia. And then I made a plan around that. I figured out how much it would cost me on average to feed myself and to have a place to sleep and to get around in the places that I was in a day. And then I figured out how many days I was going and how much that would entail for the entire trip. Then I also gave myself like a stretch, like a bit of a buffer. I added a few extra costs to the balance just to make sure that I would actually make it. And then on the other end, I started thinking about what kind of jobs I was already doing or what kind of jobs I could do and how much money that would earn me and how many hours a week I would have to work in those jobs to eventually have enough money to make that trip that I wanted to make. And then I got to the point where I am now, on which I have 4 days of babysitting, which is enough for me to pay for the trip. And I also am looking for a job in food services, so that's something that's still out in the open. Who knows if I'll get it. I hope so, because it would be nice to have like people to speak to that are my own age or maybe a bit older. So yeah, that would be really nice, and that would also mean that I would have a little bit more flexibility and perhaps even be able to buy a camera to take along with me. I really like being able to pay for my own stuff. I figured out how much it would cost me, and I figured out how much I would have to do to get there, and I put them together. And now we're here, and I already booked my tickets, and I know that I'm going to be able to pay for all of my travel with what I'm doing now, and maybe even be able to like live comfortably abroad for those 2 months that I will be gone. I like being able to fend for myself, and it's a really nice thought that I was able to put this together for myself. And yeah, I think there's just something really great about that. But I sort of went off on a tangent there, sorry. The other thing I wanted to talk about is changing dreams. And this is also because of my own situation, because I'm a narcissist, obviously. Mostly because, as I mentioned earlier, I am applying to an international school. And I am very excited about it, but it wasn't my original plan, and it might not be my end game because I might not be accepted into it, and then I'll have to find something else. Universities here are very inexpensive. Like, you pay a tuition fee of less than 2,000 euros a year. And then I started looking at Berkeley, and that was it was a different story. It's so different to be in the American system, or the British system for that matter, than to be in the Dutch system, because the Dutch system is so cheap compared to those systems. And it was kind of a shock to the system. Why am I saying system so much? But it was such a big difference, and I really had to sort of get accustomed to that, and eventually come to terms with the fact that that was never going to work for me, because I do not have the means to go to like an Ivy League school in the USA. I just don't. I mean, I'm not poor by any means, but I do not have the means to go to a school that expensive. So I had to let go with that. And that's fine. Like, dreams change, and maybe they change because you figure out something is unobtainable, and maybe they change because you simply don't want it anymore. And that's also fine. And I think that is something very important to remember. That you don't have to hold on to dreams because you had them before and maybe someone said it was a good idea or something like that. You don't have to hold on to dreams for anyone but yourself. It's a dream. It's something that It's giving you a will to do something. And by all means, that should stay like that. It should never become something forceful, because dreams are supposed to make you happy, like dreams that things you want to achieve. And I think they're ultimately meant to be a driving force and to make you happy and to make you excited about the future and about things that you're gonna do. And when you don't really feel, when you're not in it with your heart, what's the point of that? Like, how is that still a good dream? They're dreams, not nightmares. And that's really all I wanted to say. I think I took a really long time to say it, but ultimately what it comes down to, and what I wanted to say in this video and what I wanted to get across, is don't expect your dreams to magically happen for you. Work for it. And the other hand is be okay. Okay, the one side is that you don't, on one hand, you shouldn't expect your dreams to just magically happen to you just because you want them to, or because you've been nice to someone one time. And the other thing that I wanted to say is that it's okay to let go of or change your dreams, but ultimately dreams are supposed to make you a happier, brighter person in some way, shape or form. So yeah, keep yourself in mind, and also don't be afraid to pull your sleeves up and stuff. Just, if you do the crime, do the time, or stuff. Like, work for it and be okay. Oh, this is a horrible ending, but I am gonna leave it here, and I will see you again tomorrow. Bye. Good morning. Today is Vlogtober day 7, and I am taking you out with me.